So let me know if you can hear me okay. I know I look horrible today. I apologize. My hair is so weird right now. Yeah, Mr. Moon says hi. So first of all, my hair is like growing out a lot. It's way too long to do anything with. But then I've been putting this new oil in it that like makes it so it really won't stand up, but then it won't do anything else except whatever it wants to do. So I've had like, if any of you have ever seen the movie Eraserhead from the 60s, I've kind of felt like that all day. If you've never seen Eraserhead, just Google it and look at the cover photo, the image from the movie. That's pretty much what I've looked like all week long. So this is the most tamed the beast has been for days. Anyway, so like I'm almost nervous to do today's viewing party. I feel like it's the first one I've ever done. And it's just because I just missed one. But now it feels like I haven't done one in forever. And volume is okay. You guys can hear me just fine. Oh, I guess I should plug in my headphones. Mr. Moon wants to know if you can hear him just fine too. Now that I'm messing with my headphone cord, he's going to jump up here thinking it's time to attack the headphone cord. And it's not. Did you guys like the little Mr. Moon thing at the beginning of the Red Door video? I thought that was funny. Okay. Good volume, my mom says. Hi, Mom. Oh, there's Mr. Moon. No, you can't play with the cord. I know you think I'm going to let you play with the cord, but you're wrong. No cords. Say hi to everybody. Well, you got to look at him if you're going to say hi to them. He's all looking away. He's shy. Okay. So, I guess we can go ahead and get going. Barb just Googled Eraserhead and says, you look fine. Thanks, Barb. I appreciate it. I asked Vince this morning. I said, do I look like Henry from Eraserhead? He didn't say no, but he also didn't say yes. So I'm not sure what that means exactly. Okay. So we'll get busy. Remember that if you have a question, to put it in all caps. If I miss your question, ask again. And what else? Oh yeah, don't type in caps if you're not asking me a question, because I may get confused, because sometimes I'm not the smartest. Oh, and I usually show you guys, I usually tease you at the beginning and say, I'm going to show you what we're going to do next week later. But you guys already have the video, so there's none of that. Cindy said no Vince today. He's working on some stuff at home, so he might pop in later. But yeah, he's got some stuff going on today. And Tan made it. I'm glad you were able to make it for a minute. 7 a.m. in Singapore on a Monday. So thank you. I'm glad that you're able to make it for a minute. That's nice to see you. At some point today, I do want to talk about watercolor. If you guys want to do another watercolor demo or something. So be thinking about that. Get your questions ready for Castle Ruins. And we'll go ahead and we'll get started on that right now. If I can remember even how to do it. I don't even know if I remember how to do that. How do I do that? Oh, yes. Not there, though. I want to be over here. There we go. And here we go. Okay, today's canvas is a 12 by 16, and I did add a fairly generous layer of gesso to the surface of it, and I didn't sand it because I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to get rid of a little bit of that canvas texture, but then I also wanted to be able to see just a little bit of the brush stroke texture in the gesso. So here, hopefully, you can see just a little bit of that texture. It's not a very strong texture at all. Now, to get started, I'm going to start scrubbing in some pretty just general cloud shapes, and then we can come back and kind of pop some highlights in them. So I'm going to use my number 12 cloud brush, and it's dry. I have not wet it at all. Now I know that I want my castle over here, and so I'm going to make my sky a little bit darker in this area and fade down to the lighter area
where the sky will meet up with the water. So I'm going to work pretty generally in my colors. So every time I go back for more paint, my colors will be a little bit different.
Did I turn it down
just
too low?
Overall, it will get lighter. So I'm going to start by just grabbing some black. I'm not loading up with a ton of paint here. You don't want gobs of paint.
Okay.
Now another reason I used gesso.
Everything good?
See, just kind of a dark gray, is because when I'm doing this scrubbing technique, I find that an ungessoed canvas, or just a canvas right out of the package.
So did anybody do this without my cloud brushes, this background?
Some streaks in the colors. So see, I'm just kind of doing it in whatever
I'm just
way
always really curious in how you guys do things, if you do them different than I did.
And if that's not digging down into the texture well enough.
So if somebody did this background not using my cloud brushes, or maybe you did and used it a different way, I'd like to hear about that.
Don't worry about what kind of shapes you're getting here. Just get those colors on there. Make sure that you're covering
Gwen used the cloud brushes.
All of the canvas underneath.
Did you guys all use gesso? Did anybody do this without gesso?
It doesn't really matter if your colors blend or not.
Audra was asking, how do you scale down this technique to a small canvas wet brush?
I may leave a little bit of a line there.
I honestly, I don't have any kind of a formula for that. When I'm scaling a painting down, I just grab a smaller brush.
If you're not using my cloud brush,
you know, typically if I paint on a 5x8 canvas or a 5x7, whatever those little canvas boards are that we used,
because scrubbing like this,
I will typically do the whole painting with just my detail brushes. Sometimes if I want to just cover a background real quick, I'll use my 1/2 inch
soft brush,
flat brush instead on the background. But
specifically for this kind of work,
I really don't have
and I've been scrubbing
much of an answer for you on that
for about a year now, and
I'm sorry.
Perfectly fine. Aside from some paint staining, which happens.
Cindy didn't use any gesso. Cindy, did you find that
flared out,
the paint
or broken or anything?
That you got scratch marks in it a little bit easier, and that the canvas showed a little bit more? Because that's why I use gesso. I noticed, particularly, it doesn't happen so much with white paint, or else you just can't tell because it's white. But
and better at its job.
With black paint, especially, I noticed that on an ungessoed surface, I would get a lot of scratch marks, a lot of gouges in the color.
Slowly starting to get
Zenip, we see you.
And if I add a color and I think, oh, that might be too light.
Oh, Audra said, I tried to use the cloud brushes on a 5x7 and it didn't work as well. If I were going to do this scrubbing technique on a 5x7, I would probably just use my number 6 cloud brush. I've done that before. I didn't have too hard of a problem with it.
I'll show you. You don't want a sky full.
10 used the color combination from the Stormy Retreat painting. Nice. And I know Eileen did the colors from the Nessie painting. What other colors did you guys use?
Just in all kinds of different directions.
No scratching, Cindy said. Good.
And vary up your strokes. So I'm going back and forth.
Who was it who added that little bit of yellow into the black and white? That was so gorgeous. I can't remember who it was. If you guys saw that in the group, it was awesome. I loved it. And Cindy's here. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name, Cindy, because then you'll find out that I'm dumb and have no idea how to pronounce your last name, but it starts with a P.
By the time you're done with this background, then you either work out a lot more than I do, or you're doing it wrong.
Donna added a dark peach color. That sounds interesting.
And I'm really not picking up any more black. There's still that gray on my brush, and a lot of this is still
It's pronounced Perry?
So I'm picking that up as I go.
I never would have guessed that.
I'll just pick up maybe
I probably would have said something like Piore. You know, trying to pretty it up.
It's like, I feel like right there maybe I do. But see, I didn't pick up a ton. Just that little bit on the corner. Just little bits at a time. There we go.
I take it you get that a lot.
That's all I'm going to do until I get about to here, about to where my water is going to be. And then I'll stop. So I'm just going to put you into time lapse for this last bit.
Whoa, that's some quick time lapse. Sometimes when I watch my time lapse like that, I hear like Indy 500 sounds. Vroom. Those were probably the worst Indy 500 sounds you've ever heard in your life just there. 10 said the cloud part is tiring. It so is. Oh my gosh. As I was recording this several times, I had to stop and like shake out my arm. It's probably just because I'm super lazy and don't get much exercise, but man, I had like one solid all pumped up arm when I was done with this. My other arm's all like shriveled. Any tips on getting pet or brush hair off the painting without ruining the image? Pat asks. Yeah, actually, I might have demonstrated this before. We can do a really quick demonstration. I think it's pretty simple to do. So let me show you. I gotta flip you over to my camera. Ta-da! That's kind of dark, isn't it? Let's turn that brightness up a little bit. Mr. Moon, you had your turn in front of the camera. Now it's time to let other people have their turn, okay? Oh, and we're flipped upside down again. You'd think that I was a pro at this and would know exactly how to do my job, but no, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna grab some black paint because it'll be easy to see. And I just happen to have my natural bristle brush sitting right there. And as we all know, bristles like to fall out of these brushes. So I'm just gonna go. And except now, there we go. Okay, there's a bristle. I'm gonna get some paint and just kind of spread it on here. Grab that little bristle. Make sure it's good and locked down in the paint. So I don't know if you can see it, but the bristle is right about there in the paint. So rather than, getting your fingers in there and trying to pick it out, you get paint all over your hands and you pick the paint up, what I do is don't clean off your brush. Take your brush that still has the paint on it. Just use the very corner of it. Don't brush at it. The more you brush at it, you're probably going to remove paint and you're just going to smear it all over and push the hair around. So use the corner, come in like this, and kind of dig up. And look at that. Can you see it right there? I immediately got it. You do want to make sure that you do that before it dries. But once it dries, I don't know, they just found a dead grasshopper in a Van Gogh painting. I'm sure a cat hair in our painting is perfectly acceptable. But if it's wet, that's how you do it. Just right with the corner of your brush. See, and it pulls it right out. And it didn't even affect my paint. But if it did, since I didn't wash my brush and I just used the brush that had that paint on it, I could just swipe over it and correct it. So let me jump back over and see if that was helpful to you. I was gonna pluck Mr. Moon's hair. Poor Mr. Moon. You guys are so funny. Okay, so let me know if that was helpful to you or if you had a different scenario in mind. But seriously though, after finding out that they found that dead grasshopper in a Van Gogh painting, I'm like, I don't care if Mr. Moon's hair is in the painting. There's not a dead grasshopper in it, so I'm probably okay there. Okay, I'm going to jump back, but if that didn't answer your question, yell at me, and we can talk about it again. And I hope you guys are settled in, because our viewing parties typically go for about twice as long as the video,
white as I can.
and this video is an hour and a half long.
And just go across the bottom, at least on this side. This is really all going to be covered by our
Oh no, it's only an hour and 19 minutes. I was thinking this video was way, way long. Chanterelle did the yellow, yes. Oh, that was so cool.
Sure that my
and I just have such a thing for yellow.
Goes all the way down to
Pat said answered. Good.
you're not really going to be able to see too
Do
much
grasshoppers
of a
count as mixed
transition line
media?
between
Yes,
where the
Deb,
sky and the
they
water
do.
meet.
I believe that grasshoppers are typically
Good, I'm
considered
going to go to my 1-inch flat brush.
a common
Wet
mixed
it in the jar
media
a bit.
element.
And I'm going to pick up a color that's going to be pretty similar to this color. It doesn't have to be exact. If it's a little different, then I want it to be just a little bit darker. So a bit of black.
Cindy said, I missed the
white.
first part. Did you use a lot of medium? Oh, for this background, no medium. Just scrubbed it with my cloud brushes on a dry, with a dry
Use the
brush.
edge of my
No
brush
medium.
To just kind of start. But I don't want a hard horizon line.
I actually don't think I used
pressure.
medium
Notice
at
my bristles
all
are
in
not
this
bending.
painting. I
I'm
don't
just
think there was
dusting
any
that
matte
line
medium in this
out.
painting.
Light, super light pressure.
Just gesso. I did gesso
Let's darken that
the
a bit
canvas,
as
but
we bring it down.
lots of people did it without that. That's just what I prefer. So you could do it either way.
Super light pressure to go up into that first color. If
I'm
you have a
actually
hard line, like
super
have a hard
loving
line there,
painting
turn
on
the brush
gesso
on the edge,
lately, guys.
Put a little bit of pressure on it, and that line goes right away. There we go.
Lynn asked if the brush that I just used to remove the hair was the same one I
A
used to
little
paint
bit
the grass.
darker,
And
even though that's probably
if
gonna
it's
be
not the
covered by
exact
brown.
same brush, it's one of them. Yeah,
Light
it's
pressure.
the same type of brush. Katrina said she just got the cloud brushes and is too intimidated to use them. Don't be
Now, if you
intimidated to
don't know
use
where all
them.
your
They
elements are
want
going to
you
go,
to
you can
use
absolutely
them.
make sure that you
They
fill
want
all
you
in.
to
I didn't
crush
worry
them
about
on the
this
canvas
spot
and
because I
abuse
know
them
that
and
that's
try
gonna
your
be
hardest
covered.
to damage them.
But like I said, if
So
you
they're
don't know
made
for
for.
sure, go ahead
If
and
I
cover
haven't
all of it.
ruined
You don't
one
have
yet,
to leave a blank
you're not gonna
spot
ruin
like I
one.
did. Let's go ahead and
Unless
add
you
just
leave
a
it
few
sitting in
little
the water.
points of some highlight into our clouds. Now my clouds are pretty much dry. It's a little wetter right here.
I'm super loving painting on gesso
before, you're going to
because
find a couple of things. First of all,
I'm
the
really
paint goes
enjoying
on
the way that it
super,
like
super
grabs
smooth.
the
You can
paint.
see my water here. It
And
is
everything
just, that
looks so
blend is
soft
very, very
and smooth
looking.
with
Second,
gesso.
it takes
Now,
a little bit of
when I'm
extra
doing
elbow grease
detail
to get
work,
down into the texture, particularly
I'm not
if
so
you
much
let
in
it
love
be
with painting on
textured,
gesso.
like I did. See, you can see my
But
brush
for
stroke
like
marks there.
backgrounds and
If you
blending, like
sand
a
it, you may
painting
not have
like
that issue
this
quite
where
so
there's
much.
lots
But
of
also the gesso
dry
is
brushing
very,
and
very
scrubbing.
dry, and it will just quickly
Love
absorb
painting on
all of the
gesso.
moisture
But for
out of
something
your
a little more
brush, out of the paint
precise,
that you're using, so your paint's going
not
to
so
seem like
much.
it dries faster. Now, I don't always like that, so that's why I don't use gesso all the time. But for certain techniques, particularly this technique,
Have I ever
I
used
love
gesso
to
for
use gesso
titanium
to
white?
have that
No,
nice,
because
dry,
gesso actually
textured
doesn't have
surface.
pigment to
Okay, I'm
it.
gonna go to my
Titanium
number
white
6
paint
cloud
has
brush,
pigment
and again,
in it.
this brush is dry
The
as well.
gesso
We're just
is
gonna kind of
white
start adding
because
some
of an
highlights into our
aggregate
clouds. I'm not
that's
gonna
in
get
it, and that's
too
what gives it kind
crazy.
of that dry, chalky
Those of you who
feel.
have painted with me for a while, you know that I
So,
could spend a very
it
long
will
time
probably tone
painting
down
clouds, but
a
we're not gonna
color,
do that today.
but
Just grab some of that color. It's almost pure white. There's
it's
just a
not
hint
going to
of
do the same thing that
black in there.
titanium white
Can you
does.
see how much paint? I really just got off
And
on
when
one
it
side,
dries,
and
it's
now
actually
no
kind of
blobs
transparent. So
That side
if you
doesn't
guys
really
have ever
have
tried to cover an old painting with gesso
So I'm
before,
gonna kinda
and you're
take a
like,
cue
it won't
from
cover,
shapes
how
I
many
have going
layers
on
do
in
I
here.
need?
Wherever I
It's
see
because
these
there's no
edges
pigment in
like
it.
that,
It's not meant to
those are
cover,
places I'm
like
gonna say
to
that's the edge of a cloud, and I'm going to put a little bit of highlight
to
on most of them,
cover
maybe not all of
color.
them.
It's made to prepare
I'm
a
gonna do
surface to
about
accept
half foot
paint.
pressure.
I'm going to
See how my brush
sneeze.
is bent, but it's not flat. That's going to help me keep that color
Maybe.
right at the end.
How's everybody feeling
Really
with
don't wanna
clouds?
do
I
any
know
of that pirouetting
when we were
in
doing
here
clouds for a
because
while
that's
there,
going to create like a little
everybody,
ball, a
there were
little
two
spot of
camps. People
color.
who
I don't want that. I want
felt like they were
to
never going to be able to
just
do
kinda nudge it
clouds, and people
into a few
who,
places.
you know, had like these aha moments and
Again,
were like, I
no
can do
words.
clouds.
Do
And then
not
we
make
haven't done
words.
clouds for a long
Kinda
time,
take a
and I
spot,
don't know
move it
why.
around, let it break off.
We haven't painted clouds in a long time, and I
It
thought,
comes
oh my
down
gosh,
to a
what if
couple
I forgot how to
directions.
paint clouds?
Maybe it even
So I was
comes
kind of
out.
nervous to do clouds on
Just
this painting.
don't-
I hadn't done them for a long time, but
don't do
so how
this.
did everybody?
You
How
know,
did
don't
everybody
create
do
a
with
line
clouds this
of
time
color
around?
that goes from there
Cindy,
to
we
there,
know you love
all
clouds,
over your
girlfriend.
sky.
You're always
You're
rocking
gonna
those
have a
clouds
sky full of
out.
worms.
Gwen has been loving clouds. Good.
if you have a hard edge that you just can't get blended out, like if I keep scrubbing that, I'm just going to keep laying down more of the light.
Sneezes fight with me.
I
wish I would just sneeze and just get it over with. But instead of like, for like an hour, it'll be like, you're going to sneeze. Just kidding.
Super light.
Just enough to make my eyes water and stuff.
Come in behind that.
Make my sinuses swell up.
And blend it in.
And Nelson still makes sky slugs sometimes. Ah, Nelson. Good. It sounds like most of you are really feeling a little bit more comfortable with clouds, so that's good.
Very light pressure.
Yes, Donna said that for the best clouds ever, she found out that less is more. It's so true. Stare at a light bulb. That doesn't work for me, Cindy. That works for Vince, but it just irritates me and makes me blind.
They can be kind of frustrating. I hear people say it all the time. You know, I'll never be able
Taylor says my clouds tend to look flat, like sheets of paper with the occasional puff of white.
Then you never will be able to
We can do a quick cloud tutorial. Let me just prepare a surface while we watch this.
Is by Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Truth
Don't
bomb.
tell yourself that you can't do something.
You can do it if you think you
You're the one
can.
who gives yourself permission to learn how to do something or to be able to do it.
Did you guys like my truth bomb in this video?
All right, I'm having a hard time. I'm not able to do this right now. But if I keep practicing, I'll figure it out. And then you don't discourage yourself and you'll be able to do it. It took me forever and ever also.
Welcome, Kelly. I'm glad that you were able to make it.
So don't get discouraged. One day, all of a sudden, it will click.
So whenever somebody says one day and then doesn't say anything for a second, like I just did there,
or it's one that somebody else shows you.
I'm a Monty Python nerd. So every time I hear one day, I think,
so find the one
day, lad, all this will be yours. What the curtains? Anyway, apologize, my Monty Python nerd is showing.
Be the right technique for you, and that's okay too.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. This is one of her favorites. Thank you. I really liked it. I was really happy with this
just using that little bit of white. Again, can you see how much is on there? There's really not a lot of paint. I want to put some up in here, but I feel like the white is going to be way too bright. So I'm going to mix up a light.
I'm just kind of haphazardly preparing a canvas for clouds.
Very light pressure.
Good, guys. I'm so happy to hear that. You know, 6 months ago, if I would have asked you guys, everybody would have been like, I hate clouds. I'll never be able to do it. And almost every one of you sounds like you're doing better and enjoying it more, so that's good. Cindy stopped at the clouds to watch this. Good. All right. No, that needs to dry for a minute. So we'll do a little cloud demonstration in about 10 minutes. Okay. I gotta go grab my cloud brushes.
A little more black. This is not a lot of paint, guys. Remember, that's how much paint I'm using.
Keep enjoying the video while I step away momentarily. Oh, and knock the table over.
Cover things up with clouds. You know, if you get a spot where you're just like, I just can't fix that spot, it just looks horrible, just put a little bright spot over top of it and then it'll be hidden. One thing I'm going to do a whole lot more, especially up in this area, just a few little spots. If you want a little bit more information on painting clouds, a little bit more of an in-depth
I know the truth bombs do need their own special effect.
Then you can click the little information.
I was kind of under the gun when I was doing this,
a couple of videos where
the truth bomb idea came to me while I was in the middle of editing, and I was like, I just got to get that on there.
So I'll link those up in there.
Just do it. So, but I think I can make a little animation thing like I did with Mr. Moon and.
Okay, down here at the bottom, I still have a
little branding guy.
Dark color, but see, again, it's dry. There's next to nothing coming off, but it will show down here, and that's what I want.
Do I sell
get a
paint?
little
I
bit
don't sell
more
any
white
paint.
on the brush
I
than
just
have
use
been.
the
I picked
Liquitex
up
paints.
just a little bit heavier.
I do have
some nice clouds
affiliate links
down here.
on my website where, you know, if you buy them through Amazon through my affiliate links, and I get a little bit of a kickback.
Pressure.
But that's it. Oh, my paintings.
If you can tell, just a little bit of that
Once in
dark
a while,
kind of
I have a
spread
few on my
underneath
website,
that
but they're all
cloud shape.
older ones.
It seems a bit like a shadow on the underside of the cloud.
But lately I haven't been. No.
Some nice bright ones down toward the horizon. And then we're ready.
Maybe
to move
someday,
on.
but it takes a long time to get them all up on my website, and so it hasn't really been my priority. Because I really sell, like, I'll sell one maybe every couple of months. I'll sell one.
All right, now we can start drawing our castle and our land. And I'm going to use this piece of charcoal.
Maybe
You
let's
know,
pause
I
it for a second
actually
before we
recommend that you-
go on to this. And we will kind of chat for a second, and then I'll do a cloud demonstration. Monster paint. I gotta let this dry before we can scrub clouds on it. So I'll just act like it's summer and hot here, which it's not. It snowed. We got like 6 inches of snow yesterday, so that was pretty cool. So tell me exactly, you guys who are still having issues with clouds, tell me exactly what is going on. What is the issue? And remember that this is like a quick demonstration, and I was stupid and I painted black on my canvas. So getting a cloud to like blend in it's not gonna look good, because I would not paint bright white clouds on top of a black background. So really what I'll just be showing you is kind of the brush technique. You just want to make sure that you use colors a little bit closer to each other, because I just realized right now that prepping this canvas black was a stupid idea. Charge more for Mr. Moon's DNA in the paintings. Heck yeah. Oh, bye, Nelson. I'm glad you found a moment to say goodbye to me, too. So, nobody has anything specific they want to talk about with clouds? Whoa, we have 26 people here, guys. I think this is one of the biggest viewing parties we've had. Hello, everybody watching out there. All right, I guess nobody has specific questions about clouds. I'll just start. Yeah, okay, Pat says, once I stopped using too much paint, they became easier. Yes. I think that a lot of people, that's what they're doing. They're using too much paint. Way too much paint. And I'm not unbleached titanium. What am I doing? If you use too much paint, it's going to be really hard. You are going to spend all of your time trying to move the paint around to get rid of hard lines and worm shapes. You're going to get really frustrated. So, especially with clouds, guys, less is more. So, now I have hiccups. That's awesome. Taylor asks if blending mediums or liquid clear are needed for clouds. I never use any medium when I'm doing clouds. Everybody does clouds differently, though, and I'm sure that there are some artists who do use some kind of a medium when they're doing clouds, but I never do. I just scrub them with my cloud brushes. Okay, let's jump over to here. And why is that all frozen up now? That's not the... What is happening here? Please stand by. There we go. And it's upside down again. Oh man, this program hates my camera, I swear. Wait. I can't tell what's upside down now. Okay, so I can't see you, so if you're asking me questions, hang tight and I will get to them as soon as I'm done with this demonstration, okay? So we're gonna actually prep the surface kind of like I did in the video. So I'm gonna get a little bit of black. Just a little bit, guys. I did not scoop into that black. I wiped. So yes, I have black on my brush, but it's not a glob of black. I'm gonna do the same thing with the white. It's just like wiped on there, okay? No blobs, and see how little of my brush is actually covered with the paint. Just a little bit. Hang on, I think, I'm afraid I'm losing you guys. Am I? Okay. Now, I'm gonna put my brush, see the tippy toe? And then I'm gonna let it crush down to one side. And the spiral. Now, we're not making clouds right now. We're preparing the surface for clouds because, like I said, I was stupid and I painted my canvas black. I just picked up a little more white the same way, just slashed into it. Just laying down the bulk of that paint and then going back to break up lines. You can stop and just kind of lightly rub over it to blend it in. This canvas has a super, super heavy texture, so you can see some of that texture through it. It's just this canvas. Let's do that one more time, and then we'll start doing some highlights, okay? Again, just wiped in there. No globs. Do not go like that. See that? Way too much paint. Way too much. This amount of paint would cover about 50% of this little canvas. That's too much paint for a cloud. Wipe it off. I think I still have too much paint on here just because I picked it up like that. Yeah, there's quite a bit of paint on there. It's not too terrible. I can work with that. Woo! Out of control. Okay, we're gonna call that the base for our clouds, okay? Now to start highlighting them, and if you were doing this with your number 6, you could go down to your number 4 if you like. I'm just gonna stick with my number 6 because I'm lazy. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna scoop just a tiny bit. See that? That's even less paint than I picked up before. Now, there are different types of pressure that you'll hear me talk about with these brushes. So the first one is the tippy toe pressure we use there. That's with the brush on the very point, and then I will typically kind of pirouette, as you saw where it's crushed down, and we spiral. Another type of pressure I call half foot. So think of that, if you're standing on the ground, here's your foot is on the ground. If you kind of rock your weight up so that your heel is off the ground, but your toes are on the ground. Hang on, they are upside down. This is bugging me. There we go, much better. So your heel is off the ground, but your toes are still on the ground. Everything from the ball of your foot forward is on the ground. That's half foot pressure. And, so you have tippy toe, half foot, and full, like flat foot pressure. That's you just standing on the ground with your weight completely on your feet. Those are the 3 types of pressure that I typically talk about with these brushes. And they all do something a little bit different. So to start my highlights, I'm going to use half foot pressure. So again, your heel is up off the ground, your toes are down. So that would be like that. Okay? That would be full foot. That's half foot. And I'm going to concentrate the movement right toward the tip of my brush. Just kind of nudging that paint. This is going to look really awful because I'm doing it really slowly. And I'm like watching in a little camera screen rather than what I'm doing. I'm going to go back behind it and just kind of dust that line out. I'm actually up more on my toe than on the half foot pressure. So now I've got a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to get just a little bit more paint. See? Very, very little paint. Let's do that again. So I see right here there's a spot that is a little bit lighter right here than it is right here. So I'm going to say I want to put a highlight there. sometimes I'll start my brush on this side. So what I mean is, notice I've got that ball of white on that side, but not on that side. So sometimes I'll start with it like that. So I've got the white on one side and not the other side. So the white is not actually being pressed down onto the canvas, it's on the side of the brush. That kind of helps me avoid getting too much in one spot also. And see, I'm not getting worms. And the reason I'm not getting worms is because I'm not doing this. This is how you get worms. That's a worm. And once your worm is there, it can be almost impossible to break up and get rid of. I mean, it's not totally impossible, but just don't make worms in the first place, guys. Also, I see a lot of worms because people pick up too much paint. That's too much paint. And so they'll come in here and see how heavy that paint was. And they could go like this for 1,000 years, and that worm is just gonna get longer and longer. And there's so much paint right here that you can't blend it out without keeping scrubbing, and then you just get this big, look at that, see, it's covering everything because I had too much paint. That's what it looks like when you pick up too much paint. So if you're getting things like this and you're unhappy with it, check how much paint you're using. I can promise it's too much. The amount of paint that I still have on here from picking that up, I bet I have enough on here. Yep, there's enough paint on there, even after all that, that I can come in here and make a little cloud shape on pure black so it looks like junk. But I picked up about the head of a pin. That's about how much white I picked up there. Just to come in here and kind of knock a little highlight just right in there. Okay, let's see what kind of questions you guys have. Yeah, guys, there is a bit of a delay. There's about a 30-second delay or so. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, guys. Everybody's screaming, we're upside down. I know. Deb said the demos are helping her a lot. Good. That makes me so happy. Kathy says, when I do clouds, my brush flares out, even when I pay attention to my foot pressure. So let's see if we can figure that out. I think, for me, I'm assuming that I'm guessing you kind of mean like that, and that's full foot pressure. The weight of my brush is resting right here. It's bent all the way up here, and that's how I get my brush to flare out. That's how the brush flares out. So if it's flaring out, you're putting too much pressure, you're pressing it too flat. So keep it up. Really, my brush, let's see, can you see my brush is bent? But the pressure is really right here at the tip. And if it starts to flare out while I'm doing that, then I just kind of pick it up and set it back down. Just kind of pick it up, set it back down. Or you can roll it a little. See, as I go, slightly rolling it to the left, and that kind of helps avoid flaring out. So try a couple of those things. But yeah, I'm guessing that if it's flaring out, you're putting too much pressure on the back end. Let's see. There were some other questions before we move on. Gretchen says, I had trouble with my brush sticking and bristles separating. That's a hard one, Gretchen. I would have to see that to really understand what you're talking about. It kind of sounds like your brush was really dry, because I will experience some of my brushes kind of sticking together sometimes when I'm scrubbing clouds for a long time. And it's just because I use the brush dry, and then as I go, the paint starts to dry in the bristles. So if that happens, then I'll take my brush, like if this is the surface of the water, I'll just barely touch the tip of the brush. Don't dunk it in there. Just touch it to the surface of the water and then scrub it off on a paper towel like that. Because that teeny, tiny, tiny point of water will be enough to keep your bristles from getting too dry. But if you have any more than that, then the paint's going to start smearing and you're going to have another problem on your hands. And, oh, bye 10. I'm glad you got to come for a little while. Let's see. Oh, Kathy says hers flares around what, like, doing the pirouetting. Well, yeah, as you notice, mine did too. And that's really just about practice. But again, when I'm pirouetting, I'm not typically, can you see how much my brush is bent? It's still only about half foot pressure. I notice that it flares when I start putting too much pressure. But even then, every once in a while, it'll go poof and, you know, kind of flare out like that. Again, just pick it up and do it again. I think the key is just as soon as that happens, just stop. Pick your brush up. Start again. And okay. I don't see any more questions about clouds, but if you guys have other ones, don't hesitate to shout them out. So let's jump back into it, and there we go.
Use charcoal, especially if your paint.
Oh, by the way, the charcoal. Oh wait,
wet, like
hi, you can't see it. The charcoal seriously stained my canvas.
Because my only other option is a piece of pink chalk, and that will absolutely affect the color of my paint, as you may.
But thankfully, because it's a black and white painting, it wasn't that bad.
Halloween. So I'm going to use this and just hope it doesn't stain too bad.
Yes, Christopher.
I'm going to start with my lens.
Says, is pirouetting going around in circles?
Of the of the canvas. It might be a little bit more than that.
That circular scrub,
right
yes.
Here. And this is all just very general. I can make changes.
Oh, good. Audrey said that helped with her question, too. Good, I'm glad to hear it.
So right about there. And I want my clip.
And Christopher, guys pirouette, too.
Right about
There's
here,
lots of
just
guys
below
who
the
pirouette.
horizon. Don't make it end on the horizon, because that's going to kind of push the cliff back farther, and then everything's going to seem really big.
I was thinking about that.
The horizon is really right about here.
Yeah, last week
here.
That I use a lot of these like foot analogies and like pirouetting and stuff. And
sketch it on like that.
I thought about telling you guys in the last video, but I was like, ugh, we don't need to be. This video is long enough. We don't need to chat over it. That I knew when I was a little kid that all of those dance classes that I took that I hated.
Maybe we'll have another one right here.
I loved it, Mom. It was great.
Just a smaller one.
I knew that it would come in handy someday.
Land that's kind of closer to us.
I would be an amazing artist who looked back fondly on my days of dance and was glad that I did all of that dance because it came in handy.
Let's get the bottom of that in there.
No, I really did like that when I was a kid.
Standing on right about here. Now the castle can look however you want. I just kind of made this castle up as I went along.
That showing the painting here is really helpful. Well. I get asked for that so often, and I mean, I really don't understand that because I'm
just going to start with
I don't think that it would be helpful to me one way or the other to see the finished painting. But also because the finished painting is on my website, on my Facebook page, and Instagram, and, you know, all over the place. And I'm like, but you can just pull it up there and look at it.
You don't need to
full
make
size
sure
rather
that the top
than
edges.
I know most people watch videos on their phone, and I'm like, it's that big. What can you possibly see?
Make sure that the edges are relatively.
But
vertical.
I get asked for it so much. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll do it when I can. But I can't always fit it on the screen. But I will try to do it when I can.
Unless, you know, you're the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Take this little bit out here. Another little broken corner.
Kelly says, I always have issues with 3D perspective. You know, that's something that just kind of comes with practice. You know, I don't pretend to be a professional at that at all. I have my moments where I'm like, yeah, I didn't do too bad at that. And I have my moments where I'm like, well, it's too bad I suck at that because I'd really like to paint that.
My canvas and made it
but
up.
you know,
just so I remember
depending on the
that's an
amount of
individual
attention
shape.
you
I
put
will
into
lose
anything,
all of those lines.
you can
I'm just kind of keeping
get
it
better at doing
in mind
anything
right now so that I know where I want to place everything else.
Gwen, I did ballet,
This
I did
one,
jazz,
there's
I
the
did tumbling, I did
This one's
tap.
coming up to meet it. Let's do another little piece.
I
right
still remember,
here.
I did tap when I was very little, like 5. And I still remember some of the tap moves and like the words that you say,
this is
like
more
or that
like
the
a-
instructor says to tell you what to do.
An old fortress or something.
And ballet and all that stuff.
I have like a little piece down in here. It's seriously broken.
Do you
Wow.
think I could paint and dance at the same time? I don't think I could dance and breathe
And then
at the same
as
time.
we fill this in, start adding
Yeah.
highlights, you can build other little pieces of structure or building in here.
Eileen's
that
yelling at
really
me.
wouldn't matter if you drew it all
Yell
in
at
right
me,
now, because we're going
Eileen.
to lose it anyway.
It's okay
So I
to
think that's a good
acknowledge the
place to
things that
start.
you're not good at.
I'm going to take my
What's
half-inch
not
flat
okay is to
and
talk
wet it in my jar
poorly
really
of
good.
yourself because you
And I'm going to mix up a color that's almost
aren't
black,
practiced
but I
enough
don't
at
want
something
pure
to feel
black. I'm not gonna
competent in
pure
it.
black
There's
in
nothing wrong
very
with
many
saying that
places
you
in this painting, if at all.
that you lack
A little bit
confidence and
black, pull a little bit
competence
of white
in a certain
There's
area.
one
It's
Super,
just how
super
you
dark
say
gray. That's almost black.
it.
I think that's
Christopher
good.
did tap too, huh?
And then I'm going to start generally
Eileen,
filling in my shapes.
I will strangle
I'm going to
you.
work pretty loosely, except along the edges.
Now Eileen's asking my mom for photos, and Mom, I will strangle you. You know I'm good for it.
I'm going to fill in the cliffs.
I
with
should
this
have never
color as
told
well.
you
So I'm
guys
just going to
that.
put you into time lapse while I fill all of this in.
Good. My mom just said she won't share. She better not. Rita got the clouds painted and the ruins chalked in. Hey, that's good progress. Yeah, ever since I did that little castle in the Nessie painting, I've been wanting to do another castle painting.
Okay, now at the bottom of my cliff
I should have
here,
never told you guys
I'm gonna
that.
get just a little more white because I want to remember
No, Kathy, I will not
where
be
I
doing a
want that to
ballerina
be.
painting.
And I know I want that part to be lighter anyway, so I mixed up a color that's a bit lighter. And I'm going to make sure that my bottom edge is fairly crisp. And I'm going to bring my brush stroke just kind of straight up. It can blend in with that darker color. That's perfectly fine. I just don't want to lose that. And that's
Lynn.
really just for my own,
Lynn says, where do
kind
you
of
get
a
your
reminder
talent?
to myself.
Is your mom an
It's
artist?
not
So, two things.
Really to help it look anyway.
Yes, my mom has always been an artist.
Remember.
It was really inspiring to me when I was a little kid. I said I wanted to be an artist because my mom was, my grandpa was,
Notice I did cut around.
and I wasn't good
This
at
little
it, so I was like,
clip.
oh,
I'm
well,
gonna
I
do that
guess
one
I
just
don't get
slightly
to be an
darker.
artist.
Again, just
So,
as a reminder to
the
myself.
second part,
of
to
where
address
it
the second
is.
part of your question, I do not
If you don't
have
feel like you need those kind
any
of reminders,
talent.
then don't worry about
none,
it.
no talent.
Just fill it all in.
No talent. Talent is something you are just born with, and trust me when I say I was not born with the talent
There's still a
for
little
art
bit of
or
that
painting.
gray on my brush, but I'm just
It
going to
is
pick up
100% due to hard work
It's still not
and
quite
lots
pitch
and
black.
lots of it. Seriously, anyone can learn how to paint. Talent is not required. And yeah, I feel very strongly about this. So that's why whenever somebody says something about my natural talent, I have to make it a point to tell you that I
was going to
have
fill this part
zero
in, but I think I'm
natural
actually going
talent.
to just leave that for now. We need
It's-
to add some detail into our water, and then I'm just going to end up painting over this anyway. So we'll come back and add that in a minute. All right, now we're going to start adding some highlights to our castle.
All right, you guys
really
need to
this
drop
first layer is
ballerina
gonna be
stuff
quite dark
before I
still. It's
really
just a way for us
never
to kind of say,
promise to never
here's a
tell you
face of the
anything
building,
ever
here's another face,
again.
and then we can build them from there. So I want to make sure that I don't cover too much of
Yeah.
this texture. So I'm going to
No more
use a
ballet
soft
stuff. Stop
brush.
it.
This is my
I mean it.
5/8" angle brush. If you use a firmer brush, like the 1/2" flat that we used to fill it in, the bristles are much stiffer and stronger.
And Christopher
so they'll
says my
dig down
talent
into that
isn't
texture
teaching.
more. It really just
Well, thank
depends on
you.
what you want. I want to see a little of the texture.
That,
So I'm going to use
maybe.
a softer brush.
Maybe.
I'm gonna wet it in
I've
my
always
jar
had kind of a
and wipe it off pretty good on the edge. And then I'm just
kind
gonna
of
lightly
a-
wipe it on a paper towel once or twice because I'm almost gonna be
I guess
dry
a
brushing.
natural
So there's a little moisture in here to help me move the paint
thing
around a little
toward,
bit,
I don't even know
but
what I'm
not so
saying, but
much.
yeah,
But again,
teaching
to
has
lose
always
that
been
texture.
something that I've enjoyed
So,
doing,
like I said, we're
and
gonna start
wanted to do.
pretty dark. I'm gonna load up with a bit of
You know,
black.
I've taken a lot of adult education
Pull some light
classes,
into
meaning
it.
how
I'm
to
looking for a
teach
color that's
adults
just a little
things,
lighter
and
than what we've
I
got
did a lot
going
of
on already.
training
I think
in
that's good. I'm
jobs
wiping
that I've
quite
had,
a bit of
and
it off
yeah,
because I
I
don't want
do
globs
like
of
teaching
paint.
a lot.
So I'm going to come in with the edge and say that maybe there's an edge to the building right there.
Donna says, then how do you explain
Touch
knowing where
along that
highlights
edge.
and leaves and grass
Bring
and
my
flowers
part down a
go?
bit. Say there's a little
Practice.
and then
Practice.
lightly streak that down.
Observing images, observing the world around you, paying attention to the way things are done in other paintings, other
So you
artworks,
kinda
and
have to work
photographs,
to get a
things
little
like
bit of
that.
coverage, and
I
that's what I
swear
want.
to you
If
that
it's just covering, then I'm going to lose
this is
everything.
just stuff
The
that you
buildings are
pick
just
up
gonna
as
get
you go.
lighter
I
and
know
lighter.
it feels like magic when you're
Some
like,
of
I
that
never would have
over
thought to
a
put it there. Well, of course you
can
wouldn't,
go both
because
up and down and
it's-
side to side.
you
That might help
haven't
it
you
look
haven't
like it's
gained
made of
that
bricks.
experience yet. You know, you have to do some. This is why I talk about, guys. This is why I talk about
Same
making
color.
mistakes and
I'm gonna
you know, not
define
being
this
afraid to
top
make
edge.
mistakes, because you have no idea when a mistake that you're about to
do these
make
however
is going to
you like.
end up
You know,
being
as you
one of the
start
biggest teaching moments of your
Elements
entire
to the
time
buildings,
painting.
You can decide
You
what's
may
in
be
front,
going along,
what's
let's say you're
behind,
doing flowers and
what's
grasses,
broken,
okay?
what isn't,
And you're never
all of
happy
those
with the way your
things.
flowers and grasses
So I've got
are,
my
and
front
all of a
edge, my
sudden
back
you
edge,
make a
we're gonna say
mistake.
The roof is gone, and we can see kind
You
of
pick
into
up
the top of
too
that
much
building.
paint, or you apply too much
Use
pressure,
this
you use the
edge,
wrong
just
brush,
a
you
little bit more.
get a
Broken.
blop of paint on your canvas and decide to cover it up with a flower, and you
And
never
move
would have
back
put
down
one there.
toward
And
that.
all of a sudden,
And
you're
I'm
like,
just going to add a slight bit of a highlight there, so I remember
that looks
that's the
really
base of the
good.
building.
Actually, that
Even though
looks
this area I want
that
to
looks
be in
realistic. That looks
shadow. Don't worry about
natural.
getting anything too light. So
Let
now
me
this
try
looks
that
a little
again.
bit more three-dimensional.
That's
than
how
it did
you
before.
learn.
Let's do that.
I
Same
know that
thing
so many people
on
get
all of the
frustrated. In
buildings
fact,
here
I'm on a
with
rant.
roughly the
I'm
same
sorry.
color.
I gotta pause this. Sorry, guys. You know how my rants are. We're about to go on a rant. I know that, and I've had this conversation with many of you that are here watching right now. I know that so many of us, we want to grab a paintbrush, sit down, put something on the canvas, and do nothing but feel pride and love the image that comes out. And if it's anything other than gorgeous and something you would hang on your wall or give away or sell, we're disappointed and down on ourselves. And I'm here to tell you that that is absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. That's not how you learn something. You don't learn how to be an artist by going, wow, look how great that was. Let's do another one. Look how great that was. I mean, that's cool and all, but you didn't learn anything, and you're never going to learn anything, and you're never going to grow as an artist unless you make mistakes. They are important. They are required for learning. You have to make mistakes. So those of you who get so upset when you make a mistake, or your painting doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, or the way you thought it should, or whatever, you are setting yourself up to miss out on the biggest learning opportunities that you can. If you don't allow yourself to make mistakes, if you let mistakes frustrate you and make you stop painting, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself. You will never learn how to do something. You will never grow as an artist. So I know it sounds funny, and I know it sounds silly, and like I'm just being nice when I say that you should embrace every mistake and take every mistake as an opportunity to learn something. But I'm saying that because it's true. I'm not saying there's not going to be frustration involved in some of that. Everybody gets frustrated. I get frustrated. I get frustrated a lot. But I've learned that when I'm super frustrated with something, if I regroup and come at it from a different angle, a lot of times I figure it out. And if I don't figure it out right then, as long as I come back to it and persevere at it and allow myself to keep messing up and making mistakes, I'm going to learn how to do it. Because the only way you learn how to do something is by doing it wrong. You know, you've got all these options. Here are 5 million ways that I can paint clouds. Well, that one didn't work out. Okay, now I have 4,999,999 different ways I could paint clouds. Well, that one didn't work. Now I have, you know what I mean? You have to whittle it down to find the technique that works for you. And the only way you can whittle it down is by making mistakes. You can't look through those 5 million techniques to do clouds and go, oh, I think that's the one. Take it out and go, oh, magical, I just made the best clouds in the world. That might happen from time to time, but that's not how it works. That's not how painting works. You have to figure out how not to do it before you can figure out how to do it. I don't know how long I've been ranting at you, but I feel really bad. I've seen chat going like this, but I haven't glanced at it. So I'm going to read through chat real quick. I'm just going to turn the video back on. And yeah, I'm always a little embarrassed after I rant at you guys forever, because I'm like, if I were watching, I'd be like, dude, lady, shut up.
Say that the wall stops right there, and then it's kind of broken down this direction. And you absolutely can make that up as you go. Don't feel intimidated by that and think that you have to have some solid plan about what kind of shape these buildings are. Corner missing that I don't want missing there, so I just picked up some more black and just put that back in there.
Good. Kelly and Katrina, my little rant helped you guys. Good, good.
And put my little bit of a highlight on it.
God, it jumps around sometimes.
I should probably be using a smaller brush for this building, but I'm too lazy to change it right now. Let's actually say that's a corner right here. This building's turned a little bit different than some of the other ones. This is
all right.
The darker
I'm glad
side.
that my rant was well received.
There kind of reminds me of it.
I'm always kind of nervous to go back to read chat after a rant.
Too terribly different.
Somebody's going to be like, can you just shut up and show the video, please? Welcome, Nadine. We're glad that you could make it. Deb cheered me so loud she scared the cats. Yes! Mr. Moon, I think he's laying on my office chair. I mean, he's laying on his office chair that he occasionally lets me sit on when I pick him up and move him to the floor.
My brush was just a little bit too dry, so I just dunked the long point of my angle brush into the water. So I didn't want to get too much water, but I wanted to soften up that paint just a little bit.
So, have I ever worked on more than one painting at a time, I'm assuming, Nadine?
None of this is set in stone.
Yeah, sometimes I do. A couple weeks ago, I filmed 2 paintings in one day. So, while one painting was drying, I filmed part of the other one and just kind of flip back and forth between them. I don't do it real often, though, because...
making them the perfect
anyway, I don't do it real often because I tend to be super focused into what I'm doing, and if I get sidetracked, I don't usually go back to a painting to finish it if I get sidetracked, which kind of upsets me because I was working on a painting today that I was really in the zone on it, and to me, being in the zone is so much more important than the painting that comes out at the end. Like, the zone is a hard place to find sometimes, and so when I get into the zone, I have to see that painting through to the end because I can't go back and finish it if I'm not in the zone. So I don't know if I'll be able to finish that painting now, and I was kind of hoping to be able to do that tonight. Anyway, yeah, so sometimes, but not real often. Donna says, do you seriously think we're here for the viewing? We're here to hear the rants that we need. Okay, good. You let me know when you need another rant and what the topic is. I'm always good for a rant. Bye, Victoria. Thank you for coming.
And then this one. I want
Deb says the zone is where I want to stay forever and ever. It's pure bliss. It is, but it's exhausting. For me, anyway, it's super exhausting. I usually only get about an hour in the zone. And that's not, you know, from time constraints. It's because after an hour, I'm like,
just come into these darker areas
exhausted.
and decide there's a little structure in here.
Done.
So let's do that.
So that's another part of the challenge is when I'm in the zone,
structure.
I have to finish that painting before that hour or so. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but usually right around an hour.
Right here.
I have to finish that painting before that hour is up, or it's not going to get done.
Stable something. So I'm going to take a top edge across.
Dina said this is the part that she had trouble with. So, Dina, let me know exactly what... Let me move my camera. Let me know exactly what the issue was. And if we need to, we can do a demonstration.
That's long since fallen off or rotted away. So I'm just using the edge of my brush.
Yeah, painting can be super exhausting. You know, anything that uses a lot of... internal power, I think, like mind power, and I'm not even talking about necessarily
going to take a darker color just to get rid
of putting a lot of thought into what you're doing, because when I'm in the zone, I'm not necessarily like there's thought into what I'm doing, but it's different. Like I'm not trying so hard. I don't care. It's more about here's the brush I'm going to use. I'm going to see what happens when I do this with it. I like the way that worked. I'm going to keep doing that until it no longer works for me. And then I'm just going to change it. There's no judging, you know, I'm not judging that painting at all.
It's like a little wall.
But, so there is a lot of mental process that's going on, and I find that to be really exhausting. Maybe I'm not very intelligent, and using a couple brain cells is exhausting, but yeah, I think it can be really exhausting.
All right, now we know where all of our structures
Gina said
are.
Trying to get the buildings to have the sides was the issue.
The highlights.
She gets the shadows and highlights, but then struggled to have the side be facing the way that she wanted. So, Dina, I would have to see your painting. If I could see it, I could help you out a little bit with that.
I don't want to go crazy like
if you want to post it in the Art Monster Squad in the Patreon Facebook group, and then make sure you tag me in it, then I will see it and I'll help you. Guys, please make sure that if you need me to see something on Facebook, please make sure that you tag me. I can't even express to you how out of control my Facebook notifications are on a daily basis. I get several hundred Facebook notifications every day, and I have to pick and choose which ones I can look at.
Really, on this
so if you don't tag me, I won't see it. So
probably won't get much of this.
If I never comment on your paintings or your posts, it's because you're not tagging me. So post that, tag me, I will see it.
Darker than everything else.
Donna said I actually went too light too quick and had to add lots of dark back and then add the highlights back. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Castle having crooked sides. Oh, Zenip is doing good with hers. I'm excited to see that.
Make sure that I can see this corner.
Kelly says my shadowing is perfect. It's not. It's really not.
Than I want, but I'm not going to worry about it right now.
You know, I mean, I'm not a pro at the perspective and shadows and, you know, light source and everything. I know a good amount. I feel like I'm comfortable with it, but far from a pro. And I look at this painting and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have made it so light right there. Oh, I should have made it lighter right there, darker right there. That shadow should have moved this way. So, no, they're far from perfect, but I appreciate it. I am happy with how it turned out.
And let it fade down sooner, because this piece of the wall would be casting a shadow in there.
Oh, cool. Deb said that she's practicing this as a sketch and hasn't painted it yet. She said that it's looking good as a sketch. That's awesome.
The fourth wall,
I
so we have
would like to
see
that, so you should post that in the group.
This wall is also facing us. This one is facing to our left. piece of angle.
Thank you,
facing off
Christopher. He
this way.
said that the
So
red
don't
door
take this
painting
highlight
has
through
perfect
there
shadows in the
unless
doorway.
you
And
wanna
again,
also
it
highlight
does
this wall.
not.
Remember that
It doesn't.
this piece of
I
wall
am
and this
pleased
piece of
with it.
wall
I'm
are
not.
gonna have
I'm not
about the
talking
same
bad
amount
about
of
it.
highlight shadow. Just
But
like
yeah, if
this
you
piece
see,
of
it's
wall
just
and
across
this
the room
piece of
from
wall
me,
will.
and there's a
So see
couple
how I left
parts
that
where I'm
dark?
like, I
That
can't believe I
indicates that it's
published the
facing a
video with
different
that part
direction
looking
than
like
this wall.
that. Like, there's some issues in the shadows and highlights. But you know, even 6 months ago, I don't feel like I could have painted the shadows and highlights like that. So,
I'm gonna go
you know,
through
you
and
have
add
to
this
compare
color
yourself
just
to where
like
you
I did
were,
there
not to anyone else or where
onto
you
the rest
want
of the
to be.
pieces of the
And
building. And then
I don't
move
feel like
on.
those shadows and highlights are perfect. I feel like they're far from perfect, but I am quite proud of them. So. Taylor says all this castle needed was Count Dracula. Heck yes. Thank you guys. Yeah, overall I'm very happy with how the red door painting came out, and the photo of the painting, you know, it's just a cell phone photo. That's all I got. And my cell phone, when it sees so much bright red, it kind of spazzes out, and it's like everything is red. And I'm like, but there really are nuances to the color. The door is not solid, just like red, like it looks in that photo. But yeah, in fact, I wonder if I can show you. Let me see. We'll see if it shows up on my computer monitor.
This
but
building is at a little
yeah,
bit
that
of a
photo that I
different angle, so
posted,
I
I
did
mean,
put the
it's just
slightest
solid.
bit of that highlight
It's
color
just solid
into
red.
it. Just a teeny bit. It almost feels like this is kind of an octagonal shaped building. I'm gonna let it be a weird shaped building. I kind of like that. Okay, let's go even lighter.
Good,
And
Eileen.
work
I'm
these
glad that
shadows
that
and
was
highlight-
helpful. Never hold yourself up to, you know, what you think of is the standard. No, you could be looking at somebody else's art and be like, that is where I want to be. If I could paint like that, I would be perfectly happy. I would never complain about anything I did. I would feel accomplished and like I've made it. But, oh, look, I have like a glitter or something on my chin. Where did I get glitter from? It's gone. Okay. But chances are that person, oh my gosh, there's glitter all over my face. Anyway, that person is looking at someone else thinking the same thing. You know, if I could get to that level, I would be happy. I'd be the artist that I want to be. I don't feel like any of us, no matter how far we go in art, that's not to say that we won't ever be proud of where we are, but I don't think that any of us will be like, that's it. I am now the artist I've always wanted to be, and I have nothing else that I need to work on because everything I do is perfect. If you do think that, you should probably take a step back and look at what you're doing. Because the only people I've ever known who were like that are like, are you sure about that though, dude? Because that's not the best painting I've ever seen. So, anyway, yeah. Let's see if you can see. Oh, see, you can see the color's so much better there. See how streaky it is? But in the image that I shared, it's like this door is just almost solid red and a little darker over here. But, I mean, in the video you can see all of the color variations, but look at that. Look how much blue you can see through there. But in that photo I shared, you can't see any of that. So I don't remember what the point was of even showing you that and talking about that, because I went on another rant.
Lights as much as you want. You know, you can
Oh, I need my
layer
headphones.
upon
I'm like, why
layer
can't I
upon
hear
layer.
what's going on?
You could go right to it with your final color if that's
Okay.
what you really want to do. I kind of like to build them,
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
especially with the texture, because it shows all of the colors underneath.
Oh, Mr. Moon just woke up.
This
Good
is
morning,
a
Mr.
lighter
Moon.
Color.
Are you going to come
Notice
maul
I'm not
me
gonna take it
again?
down quite as far, and if I do, it's going to be very little of it. Make sure we've got some on that edge there.
You guys make me feel so happy. Thank you.
A couple swipes in the opposite direction.
You know what makes me feel like the artist that I've always wanted to be? Seriously,
Again,
is you
I'm not
guys.
working on the shadows just yet.
You guys.
We will go and put the shadows in at the end.
I mean, I can always
So if you take
be
away
a
your
better
shadow, don't
artist. I
sweat
can
it.
always
Let it
strive
go.
to do things better. But you guys fill my heart with joy. Thank you. Mr. Moon can paint with his tail.
I'm
He
not gonna
better
take this
not,
highlight
because he'd
color
paint the
all the way
walls
to
in
that
here, and then I'd have
corner.
to repaint
Because I feel like this little piece
when my
of the
lease
wall
is
might
over.
be blocking a little
whenever
bit of the
that
light.
is. But I don't want to repaint.
That's just how I feel about it, though.
I
If
love
it looks
painting
weird
the
in your
walls.
building to not take it all the way there.
I love
then
painting the
it all the way
interior of a
over.
house and stuff, but not white. Only funky colors. Like if I were painting the inside of this place, like, you know, bright yellow or green or orange or something, I'd be all over that. But to paint it white, I'm like, pfft, no fun. Christopher says that he's not a cat person, but now they have 2 black cats. You know, I grew up with cats, but like my whole adult life, I'm like just not a cat person. I don't have anything against them, but I don't really care for cats. But Mr. Moon is like, that cat is flipping amazing. Like, he's
Again,
not
I'm
just a
gonna take
cat.
this
He's
brighter
rad.
highlight all the way to the top of our little walkway. That part of it's going to start moving into some shadow.
Deb says if you're going to paint with the cat, you should use the whole cat. Just saying. It's true. Good, Kelly. I'm glad to hear that. You know, and you can learn to paint, and you can become
All right,
the
let's
level
go
of artist that you want
About
to.
as bright as we're going to
Anybody
go.
can.
And I'm going to go down to my
Anybody
number 8,
can.
bright.
You know,
And I did
all it
wet it in the
takes
jar and wiped
is
it just a little
hard
bit
work,
on a paper
lots
towel.
of hard work,
I'm going to load up
and
with about
you know,
white.
patience
There
and
was the
perseverance.
tiniest bit of gray in there.
and if you can commit
This is
to those
pretty dang close
things,
to white.
then
We're gonna
there's no
reserve
limit.
white
You know, you
for
can
last, for the
you can
for the
learn how
very
to do
brightest
anything you want to
pops.
do. You can absolutely
So,
become the
same
artist that you
thing,
want to become.
But I'm being quite selective.
Well, Cindy says it just helps. That my positivity and encouragement
I'm not
helps
worried
when
just yet about
we're
the
down on
top
ourselves.
edges
But
of
you
my
know,
shades.
I think, Cindy, the reason
Reserve
that
that for
I'm so
when we do
emphatic about those
white.
things is because I get down on myself too. I'm never gonna sit here and pretend like I don't. You know, pretend like I'm
Again,
up in my
making sure
ivory
that
tower.
all
If
the way to
that's
the
is that the
edge.
right saying?
I don't want
Did I
my
just say something
buildings to have
stupid?
a little
Anyway,
black edge.
pretend like I'm, all holier than thou and high and mighty. Let's just throw out all of the metaphors and see if one sticks. Pretend like I'm never down on myself. Pretend like I'm never frustrated.
Just
Pretend
the
like
slightest
I
hint of that color over
never feel like I'll
That might
become
be
the
too
artist
much,
that I want to
but again, we
be.
haven't
Just
done
like
our
you
shadows
guys.
yet,
I
so it's
have
okay.
all the same feelings and insecurities as you guys do.
Here.
All of them. Probably even more. But
See,
I
I'm
think that
fading
the
it so it's
difference
darker toward the bottom.
is a lot of times is
And
that
I'm gonna fade it
I
as I get
recognize
closer
that
to
that's
this
part of the
corner here.
process, and I don't let it affect me
Nice and right
overall.
there.
You
Darker
know,
this
I
way.
don't let it stop me. I don't get frustrated and throw down my brushes and go home and say, I'm never going to be able to do that. I will never be able to do that. Why am I even trying? And let it stop me. I never do that. I get frustrated, certainly, absolutely. And I may take a break from it and I may even say to myself, that's it. I give up. I will never figure it out. Because, yes, I do say things like that. But I walk away from it, and 5 minutes later, I come back, and I'm like, oh no. No, I'm going to conquer you. If I have to put a hole in my canvas, which I've done before, just like most of you, I'm sure, if I have to put a hole in my canvas and say a lot of words that I probably shouldn't say right now, I'm going to figure out how to do this. That's the difference. All of these things you guys feel, I feel them too.
I know that sometimes these longer videos can seem intimidating to a newer painter, but I really feel like, you know, everything we're doing here is really the same type of thing that we always do. It's just that we're spending a little bit of extra time.
Dina said, do you think while being an early painter you should paint something every day? I think that if you want to learn how to paint, you should paint every day.
Spend a little extra time and build the layers.
If you...
really what we're doing is the same
and painting is all about learning.
So
you know, again, no matter how long you've been painting, I think you're always pushing yourself to learn something else, to improve in some way. And the only way, the best way to learn and grow quickly and, you know, to
if you feel like you've got a good amount of brush control to be able
to be really solid in the things that you learn is to do it every day, every single day.
How much
and I paint...
I think as long as you have those kind of basics
I try to
down,
paint every single day. I might miss a day once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks.
I don't think there's anything wrong with trying something that you feel like is
I don't think I painted yesterday.
You know, even if you're not able
but to. I've already painted today. I'll paint again tonight. So yeah,
I think
you should
that
paint every single day.
You know, trying things
if you can, you know, or as often as you can.
What we normally do, whether it's technique, colors, materials, subject matter.
Well, hello, Vince.
Working in something that you don't feel comfortable doing is a growing
Thank you, Cindy.
And I think that that's a valuable thing.
Vince is going to come crash the viewing party.
You never know what you're going to pick up. But it's guaranteed you won't pick anything up if you don't try.
Exactly, Katrina. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress. How was my birthday? It was great. Yeah, we had a really good day. We went to Salt Lake.
I'm not going to take it all the way up.
We saw a movie, and we went to the Blick store, and then we got pizza, and we came home, and we watched another movie, and I think we played cards. So yeah, it was a good day.
You've been painting for a little while, but you feel
good. Deb, she said that she felt bad because she put a hole in a canvas last week from having a bad day.
What you've done,
but
then I really highly encourage you to just do it.
It happens.
You never know.
There's no need to feel bad about it. If you feel bad about it,
if you've got,
I feel like it's just going to be a dark cloud that you have over your head every time you go to the easel. You know, just be like, yep, stab canvas.
At what you can do.
Kill the canvas.
Give yourself a challenge.
You know, find another use for that canvas. Maybe you can do something with the frame. Maybe you can take the canvas off of it and cut it into little pieces for little micro canvases.
I feel like the texture here is just a little too strong.
Just don't let yourself feel bad about it.
Brush into a little bit of water.
You'll think of that every time
in with my paint.
Get frustrated
just a little bit wetter than it was.
I never think about that. In fact, I forgot about it until I just mentioned it.
Texture a little bit more. We are about ready to add our bright white.
Bye, Zeynep. I'm glad that you could make it today.
Add some windows and move on to the ground. So let's go ahead and do that.
How did everybody feel with the
straight into white, just pure white,
with kind of the dry brushing
Not enough of that gray on my brush to make a difference. But if on your brush you feel like there's still too much gray, just wash it off.
Deb, painting out frustration is
highlighting
awesome.
The top edges of
my
building.
Such a good thing to do.
Edge.
So cathartic.
This edge right here is kind of facing this way where our shadows are, so I'm probably not going to put any bright white there. But for sure on the top edge here. And then maybe I'll just dash a little bit with this bright white in there. Just a little.
Mr. Moon, why are you laying on the floor?
Really loosely, getting a few lines in there.
He's not really a lap cat. Here. He's kind of started becoming a lap cat over the last few weeks, except he hasn't really figured it out.
This part's
we've had him for almost a year and a half, and he's never been a lap cat. But over the last few weeks, he willingly comes up onto our laps, but he does not curl up in the ball and lay on your lap like a normal cat. He's got to get like all up here, and he wraps his paw around behind me and like pulls me down and claws. I always have scratches right here
loosely, so even
because he scratches me really bad while he's like he's giving me loves, you know, but he's scratching me.
Reflecting it.
But
it's
yeah,
too solid. It's gonna
so he hasn't really figured out the whole lap cat thing yet.
And less broken.
Gretchen likes the texture from dry brushing. I love it.
Quite broken.
I mean, you have to be careful when you're using it. It's not always the appropriate technique, but yeah, for things like stone and stuff, I don't think you can beat it. Love it. Nadine said that dry brushing takes a few times to get right. Yeah, it can, but I think it's very forgiving. You know, you just have to make sure you're not using too much paint. Because then you're just
these angled
painting over something.
But here, they're receding back behind these buildings.
Yeah, dry brushing and even layering transparent layers with matte medium. I think it's really forgiving, and the more layers you add, the more depth and interest you get.
And lighten my pressure until I'm not seeing any paint at all. And so the fact that that color kind of recedes back is helping it seem like it's moving into a shadow. And same on this side. Whoa, that was a bit aggressive. That's all right.
Donna learned how to, do dry brushing on ceramics. I didn't know that dry brush, see right there, I feel like that white highlight just goes way too far back. It shouldn't go that far back. I didn't realize that dry brushing was something that you did on ceramics. Interesting.
I do want a little bit of it on the wall right here. I don't feel like this part's really in shadow. So I feel like these buildings are up against each other. I don't feel like there's a gap there. But right down here, there's going to be a shadow, and I know that that's bright, but like I said, we haven't put our shadows in yet, and the shadows are going to be quick.
I don't know why I have my canvas so high up on my easel. If you can see there, like, I had to stand up on my tippy toe to see up there. I don't know why my canvas is like way up here on my easel. I mean, I like to paint at eye level. And by eye level, I mean, I usually have my canvas so that the center of it is about at eye level. So, you know, the bottom half is like down here and the top half is like here. But for some reason, this one felt like it was
I know that sometimes
like
watching you do layers, it must get boring for you guys. Oh, another layer of a very slightly different color. But especially in this painting, I hope that you can see how the different layers help build toward
I have cat hair in my eye
look.
again.
You know, if I
Too
just
bad Nelson's not here. He always yells at me when I wipe my eye.
Then there'd be way too much difference, and I'd miss out on some of those stone-like textures.
Hey, for any of you guys who were here for the watercolor video, this is the only one that has survived.
I feel like this.
All of those paintings I had hung up on the wall here for examples, they all fell off.
Of a highlight
except that one. That's the only one that's still up from that.
Facing off in a different direction. Obviously, that's too bright.
Let's talk about that real quick. Do you guys want to do another watercolor demonstration?
A highlight on that side.
No? Nobody does. Okay.
Now at the top.
We won't do it then.
Edge of our little
oh, Eileen does.
And it kind of trails off right
Gretchen
there.
does. Pat does. Deb does. Cindy does.
Probably not, though. I think that's too much right there. I'll take that away in just a minute.
Katrina wants an actual tutorial. Atra, Gwen, Cindy. All right. We'll do it.
Okay, let's work on our shadows. The shadows will be quick.
So I was thinking
because clean. I'm gonna grab just a hint of
white. I feel like, especially with watercolor,
dark color that is not.
I have a hard time
very close to black.
Doing and talking at the same time.
Kind of wipe a bit of it off, And where I want a nice dark shadow.
I guess not in general, but with watercolor I do. And the reason for that is because when I paint with watercolor, it's very free form. It's very organic. I don't usually start with much of a plan. I just kind of go, and there's a lot of kind of internal thought processes that happen.
See how it doesn't.
It's really hard to tell you what I'm doing when I don't really know what I'm doing, because.
But then, if I do want to get rid of a color,
because what I'm going to do next hasn't even occurred to me yet. You know. So I was thinking what I would do instead.
And that's what I'm going to do.
You know, and then I end up going too fast for you guys because then the watercolor is drying. And so anyway, I was thinking what I would do is maybe I'll just do a painting, you know, like I do with just kind of no thought process, just going through it. And I'll record that and then do a voiceover after so I can kind of explain to you what I was doing. And then we can watch it viewing party style. So tell me what you think about that, because I want it to be valuable to you, but I feel like, and maybe it's just right now because I'm still learning watercolor, I feel like if I do a live video of an actual painting, it's not going to be as valuable to you. And I forgot my I want it to be valuable to you. And we can definitely do like demonstrations like we do here. You know, if you're like, well, show me that more, I can stop and do a demonstration for you. But like a full painting, I think that I would feel more comfortable doing it that way. But tell me what you think.
Now see, you can still see little hints of that first layer highlight color that I put along this edge, because it wouldn't be pitch black there. There's a little bit of reflected light.
Taylor says, did you perfect sketching before moving to painting, or did you go all in on the painting? So I have never perfected sketching. I am a horrible sketcher.
Which makes it seem like
I am a horrible drawer.
Is very strong light.
I do not sketch well.
That back just a little bit more. I still feel like it's too bright.
That said, I do sketch a lot better than I used to, and it's just from painting. And really, the only sketching I do is
I just dipped into my water. I don't
when I feel like I have to show you guys what it is that we're about to do.
About like normal paint, whatever normal.
That's how I learned sketching.
Just getting black,
and I'm still pretty bad at it.
Some windows,
but I can hobble my way through.
Decide where there's a window. Place my brush there. And drag it over a little bit. And you can put them wherever you like, as many or as few as you like.
Okay, viewing party style. Oh, thanks, Gretchen. She said that I sketch well in tutorials. That's because I just do super simple stuff. Yeah, I think I will make the video specifically with viewing party in mind. So, you know, and like I said, at any time we can pause it, rewind it. I can do a demonstration to give you a little bit more info on something. So yeah.
I'm going to go to my number 6 bright.
So maybe I'll start working on something then. I think that's really what's been holding me back from doing any watercolor tutorials is the idea of doing them, like painting live. Because my process, I don't typically paint all in one sitting. I have to take breaks. I mentally have to walk away from my painting, you know. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's an hour.
Maybe I'll see it better
like,
on some videos than on others, but I think that's all right.
The red door painting, I painted that over 2 days. And, I mean, it probably only took me about 3 hours to paint it, but because I have to keep taking breaks and walking away from it, you know, that takes up some time too. And then there was drying time on top of that.
I'm going to make the color just a little bit
darker. So that's one of the reasons
bright,
that I'm saying I probably won't ever do full tutorials live.
Okay, I've decided to change this a little bit. I'm not going to do the ground
if I sit at the
so I'm
easel
going back to my half
for too long of a stretch, I become blind to what I'm doing.
Mix up that dark
I'm
color
mentally
again.
not engaged with the painting
And
anymore.
what I'm going to do is just kind of extend this piece out just a little bit. We'll say that that cliff kind of comes around and it ends over there somewhere. Just put the little bit of cliff in there.
Pat says, how did you get the windows even? Mine came out slanted or uneven.
Fill in the rest of that.
It's just practice. Honestly, though, when I was doing my windows, I was like, here we go. And then when I was done, I was like, wow, those are actually pretty straight.
All of this, we'll say it's just
I was impressed with myself. So if they come out crooked, though, don't worry about it. Just paint them over and, you know, do your highlighting again. Acha says, if I'm glazing color over this, would the blue glaze over the sky okay, or should I paint it as blue to start with? My one concern, Acha, with
now before we
glazing
start doing
over the whole thing
color detail
is
on the grasses
glaze
or
is going to
bushes
kind
or
of
whatever is
neutralize
living
everything.
there. I want to
and
add
I think it's going to make your
some
castle look
steps,
flat, and it might pull your
somewhere
sky
up in this
forward, so
area. Maybe
everything
there's
kind
a
of
little
seems
doorway
to
up
be
here that we can't see that kind of wraps
painted on
around.
a canvas, essentially.
So,
not
back to my
distance.
number 8
The sky
bright.
won't seem like it's in the back.
Good morning,
The
Mr. Moon.
the castle won't seem like it's in the
And
foreground.
I'm picking up mostly white. There's a little bit of that
So
gray
if you were
in
going
there,
to do
so it's
that,
not
I
pure
would
white.
almost recommend
I'm just going to decide where my
maybe
steps
glazing
start.
the sky
I want
first.
to make sure that my bristles always
and
go horizontally.
and maybe with a
Don't
slightly
hold your brush at an
darker
angle like that. It
color,
doesn't matter what
just
direction
just
you're
ever
moving.
so
Make
slightly,
sure
or
it's
even a slightly
horizontal.
cooler color,
So we'll
like
start
maybe
here,
add a
maybe
tiny
coming
speck
from over
of
here at this
diox to your blue.
entryway. So I'm
Glaze
just
that,
gonna go over
and
it.
then after you do the castle and everything, then glaze that with the other blue that you wanted to do. And at that point, you could take it out into the sky too.
Maybe there's
But
a
I think just having that slight color
blending
difference
area
between the sky
here.
and the castle would. I know it seems like it
Steps
shouldn't make a difference
down this
because
way now.
my painting is only black and only white, and other people did the paintings with the, you know, the chromatic black mixture, and so you would think that glazing it wouldn't make much difference. But in my experience, you can have so much depth and
There's some
dimension,
crazy
and then you
old
glaze the
steps.
whole thing in one
We
color
even
and you
have,
lose
like,
all of it. It just
a little
flattens
flat
it
spot
out.
here, and it kind of turns into a path. Back up to some steps.
I have to go unlock the door
up
because
here.
Mr. Jane is on his way, and my studio's in kind of a.
And if we decide we don't like that later, we can paint it
part of
over
town.
when we
So I
add the
keep the front
grasses.
door locked.
Okay, so I kind of picture the ground here being a soft, grassy area, not a lot of thick, dense brush. So I'm going to use this natural bristle brush, and it's dry. This one's about 3/4 of an inch
Yeah,
wide.
where are you?
So I'm going
I
to
heard
poke
you.
into some black. See, I didn't pick up a lot.
Oh,
of
he's under
black.
my chair.
And I'm going to stab my brush into it, maybe twirl just a little bit, get that black kind of dispersed throughout the bristles so there's no clumps. See, if I tap my brush, I just get little
Oh, Audrey, you're
spots.
doing other colors
That's
in
what
it?
we're looking
Then
for here.
You might be okay.
I'm going to come in and grab just a little poke of white.
I would
that is
probably
starting
still
to
recommend
count,
not glazing the
and
sky
do the same thing.
together with your foreground elements. I still
I'm just
feel
gonna
like it
start
might flatten them out.
Since I'm not sure how bright this is just yet, I'm going to start in an area where I know I want it to be bright, because I can easily make that brighter.
Why
if
is
it's
ground
not
always
bright enough.
painted
But
horizontally?
if I start over here in the dark and it's too bright, I'm going to have to work at that. So,
You mean like the brush stroke
my
lines?
brush isn't bending.
Well, I don't
just
think it
touching.
always is. The brush stroke lines are
getting
gonna.
a hint
The
of
direction of your
texture
brush
in
stroke
there.
is gonna indicate the way that the ground is moving.
Turn my brush a little.
You
as
know,
I
so
come
if it's
down.
slanted down like that,
Sorry,
the
my
brush
canvas
stroke
is
is
so
going to
baggy
say
from
the ground is
scrubbing on
moving
it
down.
earlier. So I'm just doing that same thing,
Bye,
just
Dina.
a little bit quicker. If you feel like you're
Man,
getting
Mr. Moon was loud
polka
that
dots
day.
are the same
And now
thing,
he's sitting here
just
meowing
stab
at
into
me
your
while
paint
I
again.
hear the meowing on the video.
Wow, Mr. Moon, you're loud today.
He
Every
looks
time he starts
terrifying when
meowing
he
like
yawns.
Somebody always comments.
His head comes
that he
unhinged like a
sounds
snake.
lonely. I might have said that
Come on.
before, but I
Come on.
assure you,
Good
he
boy.
is not lonely. He gets all
You're
of
not
the
lonely,
love.
are you? Are you lonely?
Every time my
No.
color's a little bit different. This one's a little
You're not
darker, so I
lonely.
think I'm going to take it up into here.
How would I get cat hair in my eyeball if you were lonely? And stuck to my
Take it
chapstick.
right to the edge of my
He's gonna
steps.
step on my
If it
computer,
kind of
and that's not a
overlaps
good
my
thing,
steps
is
a
it?
little. That's okay. These are old ruins. Maybe these steps haven't been used in 150 years or 200 years, whatever. Let's go just a little bit lighter.
Oh, Asha said, I've always had issue painting a road, and I heard that the brush stroke should be horizontal. Yeah, if you were going to paint a road, oh my gosh, the cat hair that is just stuck to my face. Yeah, if your brush stroke goes, like if you've got a road coming from you going to your horizon and your brush stroke goes that way.
See, it's very soft.
Your eye can kind of, it can see the direction of the brush stroke. You know, even if the brush stroke is all a solid color and you're like, oh, I'm just filling it all in with black.
Right,
it'll be fine.
Against my steps. See, I
but
kind of covered that
I feel
edge
like
of
you
it.
can still see it.
I'll cover this edge of it.
And I think a horizontal brush stroke is going to say that that road, it's still, you know, on this relatively flat surface. Even though the road is moving that way, this series of horizontal strokes moving away from you is what's going to build the road, not
a little bit.
A curvy line, you know, going from you to the horizon.
It comes down into this piece.
Lynn said, do I sell bristle brushes? The brush I used is about 1/2 inch and didn't produce the same effect. Do you think that was the reason I had problems? I don't sell any bristle brushes. Here. And actually, Lynn, I know you asked about grasses. And we're on the grasses now, and I think I almost have the cat hair off of my face. So we can talk about that real quick. I do not sell bristle brushes. I've asked my brush guy about them before, but the reason I don't is because, guys, these are seriously dirt cheap brushes. Like, I'm not kidding. I probably got a pack of like 15 brushes, 12 brushes for like $5. I mean, they're super, these are the cheapest brushes. They're practically junk brushes. And for me to have them made and, you know, for me to buy them and then to sell them to you, you're going to pay way more money from me than just going to Michael's and getting a value pack of their crappy old bristle brushes. These are dirt cheap brushes. So that's why I don't have the natural bristle brushes. If it were, you know, if it made sense from a financial point of view, if I could offer them to you at a competitive price to these cheap brushes, then I would absolutely do it, because I get asked so often about, where do you get those? Where do you get those? I can't find them. I can't find them. I can't find them. But yeah, at the price I would have to sell them at, you could probably buy a pack of them for, you know, the price of one brush for what I would have to sell them to you for. So that's why I don't have them. Go to Michael's. They've got like the value pack of brushes that are kind of like hidden in the corner. It's like, here's our junk stuff. It's not by the nice paint. It's, you know, probably over by the craft paint, whatever. That's where you're going to find these. You're not going to find them over by the Simply Simmons and the Royal Langnickel brushes, because these are crap brushes. Anyway, as far as grasses go, I need to know exactly. Yes, Atra, it breaks up what the eye sees exactly. Lynn, I need to know exactly what the issue was you were having with the grasses. It's hard for me to say how you can correct the grasses when I don't really know what the issue was. So if anybody else has questions on grasses, we're on grasses now. I'm ready to do some demos. So let me know what kind of problems we had about grasses. And I know this delay makes it hard. I'm like sitting here waiting for you to respond. And then by the time you respond, you're hearing what I'm saying right now, and you're like, we already responded. Nobody? Lynn? Nobody? Okay, I'm gonna push play. Somebody decides to ask a question specific to grasses, then I will stop again and we'll go back to that.
That's perfectly fine.
What is happening here? Oh no, I just opened my video editing software.
You know, I'm kind of thinking of those castle ruins that you see in Scotland or Ireland. And there's a lot of grass around them. You know, not so much.
I know, I'm sorry guys, I think everything is lagging really hard right now because I accidentally opened my video software.
Lots of grasses.
I'm trying to get it closed.
Let it go up outside of your shape there a bit. That's okay.
Pat says, mine look like blobs. Okay. Lynn said the grasses looked flat. Oh my gosh, I just totally destroyed our entire broadcast. Okay, there we go.
Down here, can start.
Okay, we have 3 questions now specific to grasses, so let's go over that. Let's actually, I'm going to start with Deb, actually. Deb says, we have no humidity, so the paint dries in the brush. Guess what, Deb? We too have no humidity. It's so dry here in Utah. So let's go over that real quick. If you discover that your brush just, it's way too dry, here's what you're gonna do. And I have to do this a lot of times. So I'm gonna take my brush, I'm gonna dip it in my water, and I'm gonna take a paper towel, and I'm gonna squeeze all of that water out. Squeeze it out. I know it seems like, why did you get it wet in the first place then? But you can't perfectly dry this brush off by doing this. It's gonna retain some water. So there. It's still essentially dry, but it's got just enough moisture to it so that the grass isn't gonna dry out quite so fast. The paint's not gonna dry out quite so fast. Okay. Let's go to the next ones. Pat said it looked like blobs, and Lynn and Taylor said that their grasses look flat. So, Pat, if your grass looks like blobs, that's a very easy fix. You're using too much paint or you're putting too much pressure on your brush. So I'm just going to use white so that you can, I guess I can probably use black too. I'm just going to use white. Make up your mind, lady. Okay, so my white's almost dry. I'm just kind of dunking into it. That paint is seriously dry, so I didn't get much on there. Can you see how much paint is on my brush? Let me see. I don't know if it's focusing on you. Nope, it's not focusing. Come on. Hello, focus right here, please. Right there. It won't. Anyway, just take my word for it. Okay, there we go. See, there's not a lot of paint there. When I touch it, see, not a ton of paint comes off, guys. That's about how much paint you want to use. If you have way too much paint, you're going to get blobs. If you pick up too much paint, you think, uh-oh, I picked up too much paint, then just come over here and kind of tap it off a little bit. That gets rid of some of the paint. Now you're ready to start grasses. And see the pressure that I put on my brush there? See, my brush isn't bending. It's almost just like, it's the weight of the brush. Look, I'm not even pushing it down. It's just the weight of the brush. That's the kind of pressure that I'm using. If you push too hard, even if you have an adequate load on your brush, then you're going to get a blob. And you're going to keep going. And that first one may not look too bad. But then when you cover everything with it, you're going to get, it's going to look flat. You're going to have these flat grasses with no dimension. I need a little bit more paint. My paint is too dry to keep going here, so. And I'm using heavy body paint, which is probably also part of the problem. But yeah, if you feel like it's too dry, just dip it into your water again and kind of squeeze it off on the paper towel. I'm going to just kind of poke into that white paint. See, I'm not scraping at it, I'm not picking up. I mean, you can if you feel like you need to. I'm going to tap some of that off. You can even kind of swirl the tip of the brush in there just to make sure that the end is evenly covered and that there's no gobs of paint. See how separated all my bristles are? And then just touch. See that? There's no bending of the bristles. Each one overlaps the previous one. But what you don't want to do is tap, 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 tap over the same spot. Because even if you're using adequate pressure and an adequate amount of paint, going over it and over it and over it is going to create a little fuzzy blob. So you only want to go over it just enough to overlap it with the next one. So it's tap, move over to the side, tap, but they overlap just a little bit. Tap, 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 tap. Come down. I'm right below it, but it's still overlapping just a little bit. And as you get a little more confident with it and comfortable, you can start kind of flipping your brush over, kind of rotating it as you go. And I know that looks like nothing because it's just a junk canvas with weirdness under it. We have grasses on top of our clouds now. And then you build your highlights from there. So you start with the dark color. Let's see. My black is dry. It's like in our painting, we start with the dark color. And we do the same, really these same grasses in the red door too. Okay, so I'm just tapping into that black, tapping it over here, spiraling it to make sure that it's evenly spread throughout my bristles. And I'm going to start right here and just start laying down. Just lay down those grasses. Very light pressure. My brush is not bending. There's no bending of that brush. Now I'm going to go a little bit lighter. I'm just going to dunk into my white, swirl it in there, and I've got a little bit of a gray. Up toward the top, and again, light pressure. Make sure you leave some of that first dark color showing, especially down here at the bottom. If you cover all of it, then why did you even put that dark color there? Now it makes no sense to even have that dark color there. So my dark color extends down to here where my finger is. I'm only going to put that light color here toward the top. Now I'm going to go a little bit lighter. Swirl that in there. Now my light color ends right there. Super light pressure there at the top. See, I didn't cover all of that light color. So my black is there. My lighter color's there. This lighter color's there. And I can go a little bit lighter. Maybe I'll use a heavier amount of paint this time. But it's still tapped out pretty good. But I'm going to add less pressure. Just right there, the very top, to give it some little pops. But again, I'm not covering that last color. So if you, hang on, let's see. I have a canvas over here from, I think, our last viewing party. So here's some black. Let's say there's your base layer of your dark color, which I just laid down really quickly, and that just looks terrible, but I'm just using it for a color example right now. You get your next color, your slightly lighter color, and you do the same thing over top of it. Remember when I said if you go over and over the same spot, excuse me, hiccup, it just gets fuzzier? Well, you might have just been laying down a lighter color, but you just went over it again, so now it just got fuzzier, and the color just completely obliterated that first layer, that first dark color. We go lighter. And if you do the same thing and just go over it, see, it's just getting fuzzier. And there really is no dimension, it's just one color. And you go lighter. And you cover all of it. So the trick is the lightest pressure you can. Do not try to cover all of the last color. The darker it is, the lower it should be, right? Because that's going to be your shadow color. Leave that black there. Leave your lighter color there. Your lighter color there. Reserve the brightest color, the white or whatever it is, for the very, very tip, the very, very end. Okay, I think I ranted again. Let's see. Did that, whoa. Did that help you guys? I'm going to go see what kind of questions you have. Okay, Deb says she wasn't squeezing out enough moisture. And Deb said that she's also been using way too much paint. Okay, good. I'm really glad that was helpful, guys. Let me clean off my brush. It's the only thing I'm really, like, I have to clean off my brush. I don't wash them with soap every time like I preach to you guys to do, but I cannot leave my brush sitting in the water. I am going to sneeze for reals this time now. Nope, guess not. Christopher asked if I'm using heavy body paint in all of my videos at this point. No. I think I did in the last two. I know that I did in the red door because I'm all out of my unbleached titanium and basics. I only have it in heavy body, and I have 2 tubes, so I can't justify buying a tube of basics. Oh my gosh, I really am going to sneeze. That and the cadmium red. I like the opacity of the cadmium red. So I'm like, well, if I'm already going to be using those two, then I might as well just use the rest of them. Not that you can't mix them, I'm just weird like that. I honestly don't remember if I used the heavy body or not in the Castle Ruins. My eyes are all puffy. But I will always go back and forth, I think. You know, there's still a time and a place for basics. They're excellent paints. I have nothing against basics. I will probably always use basics, you know, in one way or another. Yeah. No, I like them both. They each have their place. Okay, let's get back to it, and hopefully I can sneeze, and hopefully I can sneeze with enough warning that I can, like, mute it so you don't have to, like, listening to me sneeze, scream.
Applying a little bit extra pressure.
Because I'm not one of those people who Barbie sneezes. Am I allergic to Mr. Moon? No.
The grasses
I just sneeze a
little bit bigger.
Mostly in the winter. I just sneeze a lot. I'm not sick.
As I work down into here.
I don't have allergies. There's nothing
See
to
how
even
my
have
brush
allergies.
is bending a little bit now. That's giving me a bit
right now
more
because
texture
everything's
in
covered in snow.
Lightening my pressure as I move back here
No.
again. See, my brush isn't
I don't know.
bending anymore.
I just sneeze a lot. It's probably because it's always super dry here. But in the winter, I feel like the humidity is even lower than it is in the summer. And I think my sinuses just get really dry. Okay, I really hope that that was helpful for you guys with the grasses. If not, please let me know. We can go over them, you know, anytime you like.
I'm liking the way that grass is looking. I think I just want to pop it a little brighter.
I think right there I was using it a little bit
too
heavier,
much paint. That's kind of
closer in the front because I was looking for a brighter grass
These
anyway.
so noisy.
it looks like I did use my paint quite a bit heavier right there.
Paper plates are noisy.
But even
That is
then,
noisy.
notice
Music
I
noisy.
didn't cover all of that first dark underpainting. There's still little bits of
Thankfully,
it
my
poking
studio
out.
is
And then when I go
relatively
back over
quiet.
with this lighter color, I don't cover all of that
Light
first color that I
pressure.
put down.
Get rid of a line there. And we'll go a little hint lighter in here.
Kathy says, what issue did
for
you
a
have with your
clip,
canvas?
I cleaned off my brush and
this
I
part?
dried it pretty good on a paper
It's
towel, so it's a little bit damp.
because a lot of times I'll
Grab
pre-stretch my
Bit
canvases.
of white.
So even if I don't tell you or show you, a lot of times
It's
I
not a
wet
ton of
the back
paint,
of my
but
canvas.
it's kind of just slashed onto one side, not on the other. I'm gonna start right
But
here.
if I don't tell you that I did,
Just lightly
it's
dry it
probably
down. Don't worry
it's
about
usually
getting it
dry
down
at
into
that
your
point.
water.
I tell you when I wet the back of my canvas when I wet it down for
Kind of making this
blending purposes.
look like cliffs.
So I didn't shrink my canvas before doing this, and then the scrubbing that I did with the clouds,
Get forward a little
because I
bit.
used quite a bit of pressure, it
lighter.
kind of stretched the canvas out, and so it was very baggy. So when I was stabbing the grasses, the whole canvas, it was very loose, and so it was like
And then I'm
flopping.
coming in and I'm
And so I had to
grabbing a
put
little
my
bit of
finger
black.
on there to kind of tighten it so that it
Start at the
wasn't
bottom.
like make you guys dizzy
Scoop
watching the
upwards.
canvas flop.
Again, don't worry about that, where it's getting down into the water. I know that looks like a mess. Back into the white and streak down again. About to the bottom of the cliff, and I feel like that'll be good. Make some areas a little lighter than others.
Everybody got really
I'm gonna go to my
quiet
number
all
8
of a
filbert,
sudden.
and I feel like this is about the last part, and then we'll be done. I'm gonna get some white, mix it my black, get a dark color, dark gray.
No more rants. You guys are good. I ranted at you a
I'm gonna come
lot
here
today, didn't I?
right at the
What did
bottom
I have?
of
Like
the
I've had like 3 separate
start.
rants today.
Almost sketchy.
I think with most viewing parties, I'm good for like 1. You guys brought the rants out today.
Just let me cover that up.
Kathy says the cliffs are great. How did you come up with doing it that way? Sheer laziness. I tell you. I swear to you, it was sheer laziness. I actually wanted to like spend some time and really draw those kind of cliffs that, you know, have the creases and folds in them where
Really just
you know,
gonna
little
kind of go back and forth.
like mini
with
waterfalls
some
might come
lighter
down
and
on
darker
during
colors.
rainstorm and stuff.
Keep
And
it
then by the time I got to this
fairly
point in the
dark.
painting, I was like, this
Base
video is
of the
already
thread.
going to be long, and I don't really feel like. I felt like they were also too far in the distance at that kind of detail, but also I didn't feel like that would be the best use of my time. I felt like you guys would get to that part and you'd be like, ugh, more heavy details on one little thing,
See,
and this
then it
video's
kinda
already an
blends
hour
in
long.
with
So I was
what
like,
we
oh,
already
we're just
have.
going to streak it.
So
That's
we don't
good
really
enough.
need to repaint all of
Bye,
the water.
Taylor. Thanks for coming.
Unless you want to. I'm just going to keep going with what I'm doing here, and we'll see how it looks when
Good.
I'm done.
I'm glad that the rents are helpful to you guys. Yeah, Audra said it looks like a floating island right here, and it makes her want to put the dangly bits in.
Just really
It does
using
look
the
like
very
it's
tip
floating right now.
of
I
my
thought that
filbert.
too.
See that? It's just the tip of it. I'm not using it flat at all. Not worried about that charcoal that I decided I didn't want to put the land in because it'll just mix in with my color, and help me get a gray color. So that's not a big deal.
You want to paint cliffs like what, Gwen? Like the ones that I said I was
like a scribble
thinking I wanted to add in here? Maybe we can do that. I mean, I painted Loch Ness and really enjoyed painting that little castle and thought, oh, now I want to paint a whole castle. So then I painted the whole castle. So now maybe we can paint the cliffs. And then maybe there'll be some little element in that. And be like, oh, now I want to do a whole painting of that. And it'll be like the painting that never ends. And we can do them all in the same color scheme and they'll all fit together
just
perfectly.
Going over dry paint. Because I'm working in the same colors, it doesn't matter, you know, if it's too light, like that's way too light. Not sweating it. And just pick up a slightly darker color. And go right back over it. And because I'm working in the exact same color scheme, it'll blend in and it won't look out of place. A little bit of extra water. My brush was getting pretty dry.
What bread dough are you talking about, Eileen?
And then I'm going to come in with a slightly larger amount of white. Not a ton more, but a little bit more. And
I was pretty happy with the way the water turned out here. I know it's a very simple technique. You know, I didn't
look like maybe there's some
really put a ton of energy into the water, but for as simple as it was, I was happy with it. Yeah. Are you gonna come up here? No. No? Fine, jerk.
Especially right here at the base of the cliffs. Just a hint of that bright white.
I don't understand why we're talking about sourdough bread. I think I must have missed something.
Last part. I think we are about done. I just wiped that white off of my brush.
Were you talking about like bread starters?
So this color is very, very dark. Almost black. About the same color we used on the base of the hills here. And I'm going to just inject a tiny bit of that in here at the base of the cliffs too. This is the darkest part of our water.
So we're almost done. Guys, the video's going to end in just a minute. So think of some last questions, and as soon as the video's done, we'll kind of wrap up. I'll answer some final questions. We'll make a solid plan for watercolor, and then we'll be done for the night.
Pop the cliff right here just a little bit. And then I think we're done.
All right, there we go. My mouse isn't working properly. There we go. All right, we are done with that. So when do we want to do a watercolor? I'm thinking what I'm probably going to do is something very, what are you doing? Vince is blinding me. I think what we're going to do is I'll make a watercolor video and then post it just to you guys, to you know, Patreon and YouTube sponsors, and then I'll set up a viewing party for it. Or maybe we'll just do, you know, I won't even post it to you. We'll just have a viewing party and watch it. And then once that's done, then I'll probably make the watercolor video public. But when do you think we want to do that? Is that something we want to do pretty soon, or should we kind of hold off until February? Or I don't know. You guys tell me what you want to do, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is I'll make the video, we'll watch it together for the first time in the viewing party setting, and then I'll put it out to everybody else. Oh, also, are you guys all following me on Instagram? You should be following me on Instagram. I'm trying to have a really big Instagram focus this year, because Instagram is something that is a really powerful tool, especially for artists, and something that I've just not paid much attention to. All right. Nobody answered me except Atra said yes soon, so I will start working on that. Thank you, Atra. Anyway, so today on Instagram, I posted something that I just got in the mail today. So if you haven't seen it yet, you should go find me on Instagram, Painting with Jane. There's underscores under, so it's painting underscore with underscore Jane. And I'm going to show you guys what I got. I'm super excited. Now, don't get too whatever. These were dirt cheap, guys. So if you're like, oh, I would love to have something like that, but that was expensive. This was $23. $23 for what? $23 for 20 palette knives. And look at how big some of these monsters are. Look at how big this is. This is a gigantic palette knife. And then some of them are also super teeny. Little ones. But yeah, 23 palette knives that I got on Amazon. And yeah, for like 24 bucks. There's a link to them, and I'm dropping them all over the floor. There's a link to this set of palette knives on my affiliates tab on my website. So if you decide that you want them, I mean, $24 for 20 metal palette knives, they're pretty stiff. I was hoping that they would be a little bit more bendy than that. But, you know, for 23 bucks, 24 bucks, it's not too bad. So we'll see. But I just ordered these, and I've been asked for lots of palette knife videos lately, but I have lost all of my palette knives. I don't know how I lose my palette knives. I have like one, but even my favorite one, you know, that was like shaped like this, I haven't seen it since the retreats. I don't know where that ended up with, or where it ended up. But yeah, so we haven't done palette knives in forever. But I'm super excited. We're gonna do more palette knives. Yeah, and if you're not on Instagram, you should go follow me on Instagram, because I'm posting some fun stuff over there. It's exciting. Yeah, you can use them on watercolor. I do use my one palette knife that I still have. My one plastic palette knife that I still have, I use this on watercolor. And if you were here for the watercolor demo, you've seen how I use the palette knife on watercolor. But anyway, does anybody have any last questions before we finish for the night? Nothing? Do we want to do like some super abstract, like really just kind of play with the knives and do abstract? I've been asked actually for a ton of abstract lately. Or do we want to do something a little bit more representational with our palette knives at first? So you guys think about that and let me know. Leave me a comment below after the video, or after the live is done, and kind of tell me what you would like to do with palette knives. And of course, if you don't have this set of palette knives, that's perfectly fine. I never want you guys to feel like just because I have something new and fancy and I'm excited about it, and these are hardly fancy, it doesn't mean that you guys have to run out and buy it. So abstract, lots of abstract. Okay. And I got lots of requests for gold leaf. So maybe we'll do some abstract gold leaf palette knife texture medium type stuff. Eileen wants more representational. I don't know why I just smacked myself in the head with my palette knife. Give us some warnings so we can get the right one. The right one what? Palette knife? I'm pretty sure it's fine. I mean, they're all pretty much shaped like this. And if they're not shaped like this, then they're the little diamond ones. I mean, I got the set. It was all very standard shapes. You know, I didn't get any of those funky shaped ones with the rakes and all that stuff. So, I mean, they might be a little bit larger. If you don't have one this large, take a credit card and just kind of cut it, you know. Yeah. Oh, here. I'll post the link to my affiliate link. If you, I'm not telling you to go buy anything from here, but if you did buy something through my affiliate links, and I could probably earn like a few cents. It's probably not very much, but you know, it builds up. But the palette knives are in that link there to the exact set that I got. Oh, Deb said that one of her favorite paintings is the book and the candle. The books and the candle. Yay. Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, then I guess we'll wrap it up. I'm going to go home and eat some pizza. I eat a lot of pizza. I love pizza. Pizza is my bae. And see if I can get back in the zone to finish that painting because I was really digging him. And I am so thankful for all of you guys for coming. So I hope that you come next time, and I will schedule the Red Door viewing party in the next couple of days. And we will do that. So I hope that you guys all have an awesome night. I love you all.